football, you just say immediate impact, potential rookie of the year, potential organization changer, somebody you can build around. So yes, I agree with Louis that is not ridiculous, and I think he is the best player as opposed to maybe.
Yeah, I think he's going to go real high and make somebody really, really happy.
You think?
Some interesting news earlier this week. Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe invited to the draft. Has people wondering, could he actually be a first-round pick? If I said Jalen Milroe is going to be a first-round pick, is that ridiculous?
You know, I'm going to say it's ridiculous only because I feel as though Jalen needs a little bit of time. Look, his very best, when you're talking about throwing the football, if you throw on the tape of his game against Georgia in Tuscaloosa, notwithstanding some of the turnovers he had against Oklahoma, some of the throws he made on the road against Oklahoma, you can stack him up with the best quarterbacks in this draft. And his running ability, without a doubt, is far and away the best in this draft. Some of the best that you've probably seen in the past 20 years. But he needs time. Will he get drafted in the first round? I would say it's ridiculous. Is it out of the question? No, because people always push up quarterbacks, and someone in the bottom part of the first round could wind up taking him. I would say, though, it'd be best for him, and I think fair value would be at the top of the second round.
What do you think?
So that's why I'm saying it's ridiculous.
What do you think, Swag?
I understand Lou's sentiment, but my thing always now with quarterbacks, especially when you talk about potential late first round, you don't have to pay them a lot of money. And if a team thinks this guy can develop into a potential starter, or he can become something that we've seen maybe Josh Allen turn into or Lamar Jackson turn into, if you can cut down the turnovers and also improve his passing status. So I get it. I understand why Jalen Milroe is being mentioned in the first round. And it's because Lou knows this. You don't have to give these guys $60 million anymore before they take a snap.
Plus, you get that fifth-year option to take him in the first round. That's what Baltimore did with Lamar.
Right. That's why it wouldn't shock me. I'm just saying I think the fair value is probably the top half of the second, kind of like Jalen Hurts. But look, Jalen Milroe is ridiculously talented.
All right, how about another quarterback, Shedeur Sanders? If I said he will fall out of the top 10 picks, is that ridiculous?
Yeah, I think that is ridiculous. Look, I think we are definitely overthinking this. We are picking this guy apart. We're combing through him with a fine-tooth comb in a way that really we haven't seen, another quarterback undergo in terms of scrutiny. And I really do believe that. Now, that's not hyperbole. I think we are really overthinking it with this young man. I think the floor for him is 9. I think his camp would be very, very happy if that happened. And when you're talking about a guy who had basically adjusted completion percentage about right at 80% this year, played behind no line, had no running game in 2 years at Colorado, I think you need to keep in context exactly what he overcame and still had some of the stats that he had.
It's funny you mentioned the Saints at 9 because that's exactly where Mel Kiper Jr. put him in his most recent mock draft, going the 9th pick overall to New Orleans. Swagoo, would you like that fit? Shedeur Sanders with the Saints, Derek Carr's there one more year?
I would love that fit. And when you start thinking about the situation in New Orleans, Kellen Moore had a quarterback by the name of Dak Prescott who was taken in the 4th round from Mississippi State. Albeit more athletic than player, Shedeur has shown all of that. This is 2 programs that this young man has went to and elevated both of those programs and put him in a situation when no one was talking about him to everyone talking about him. And I get that Prime was the coach and I understand all of that. But Louis was at games, called games at Colorado. At some point, there has to be some substance to what was going on in Jackson State and Colorado. And you know who was in the center of that substance? Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. It would be crazy if this dude does not get drafted in the top 10. 1, because he plays the position at a high level, and 2, because a lot of organizations need a damn quarterback. So I'm going to leave it at that. I think it would be ridiculous if he didn't go in the top 10.
I think one point that I want to make about him is this. Fit is absolutely critical for him as far as the makeup of the coaching staff and the offensive coordinator and quarterback coach to give input. He's someone who likes to ask why. He's someone that likes to be involved. I don't think it'd be very good for you to draft this young man if you just want to pound into him. This is how we do it. I don't really need to have your input. I'm really who coach him. And I think Kellen Moore, considering the fact that, look, Swagoo already mentioned, he coached Dak Prescott. He also coached Jalen Hurts. He has been a guy who's coached a lot of different types of quarterbacks, a lot of different types of offenses. Yep. I could definitely see Shedeur matching up very well with him in New Orleans. And on top of the fact that I think he would just like living in that part of the country and playing in front of that fan base.
Do I have time to ask Lou a question?
Sure. Absolutely.
Lou, you think What is being said about Shedeur playing for NFL coaches while in college? Is that something that is discussed while this process is going on? That he's had guys on that staff in Colorado who coached in the pros, and maybe a little bit more validity to the information they giving these GMs and people that's asking about Shedeur?
Well, I sure hope it would be something that people weigh and something that people kind of take some comfort in the fact that, look, it's not like he's coming from some Mickey Mouse program where he's had coaches who really aren't experienced as far as make sure this young man reaches his potential.
15 days now until we find out where these guys start going in the NFL draft. Louis will be there in Green.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Ngày hôm nay mình sẽ tiếp tục hướng dẫn các bạn tố tượng nha. Tượng hôm nay của mình sẽ có tiêu đề là Sting. Mọi người hôm nay tượng của mình sẽ có tiêu đề là nước đào. Bây giờ mình sẽ bắt đầu làm nha. Màu đỏ đầu tiên nha.